was there when it started, like the beginning of house, just like the beginning, the sound.
And what year are we talking about?
We talking about the first record came out, I say like 82, 83. Yep, my first record was like when I was 15. I love the music, man. It's not even about the return or investment as far as the money goes. I like the music. It's the passion of the music.
Well, actually, my grandfather was a DJ, and when I was a kid, he used to like take me to like, you know, where he used to work at, like sit me on the stool, and, you know, I was always influenced by records. One time I went out to a party and I got exposed to it. I mean, it was my first time ever hearing house music. And it just moved me that, you know, at that passive moment, I said, this is something that I want to do. Me growing up, I used to spin at the Music Box with Ron Hardy. I was 13 years old, spinning records, you know, with the so-called top DJs that were in the city, like Little Lewis and you know, Farley, Jack, Master Funk, guys that were able to network and get channels, and that kind of put a nice stepping stone in house music. You know, I'm a young kid and I'm, you know, spinning with like a lot of the top guys. So, I mean, obviously it was hard for me to get in there. But what accentuated me was that I had a certain uniqueness, and that was me making my own music and being able to play.
Producing
right.
At that
I was
time.
already producing at that time, just kind of toying around, just making a real abstract sound. They probably will call it, they probably would consider it techno music at this point.
But it was already techno.
But I mean, but back in 1985, I mean, we would just make like just really slamming tracks with the 909 and the 303s, where we just make like really pumping stuff to play with, you know, the usual playlist of stuff that was out at that time. I met a guy named Robert Williams, and Robert Williams basically at this time he owned a couple of clubs. You know, he owned a couple of spots. He owned the Warehouse, and he owned the Underground. Where Frankie Knuckles was the Friday night king, and Ronnie Hardy was the Saturday night guy. And basically, those were the bases, and everybody kind of built from that base. These guys basically, you know, were our motivational teachers. You know, they set the tone and got it going. Ron Hardy, you know, kind of just like took me under his wing and showed me a lot of things, taught me, you know, the passion of playing and the tempos, letting your records play. Don't be a hot mixer. You know, if an artist makes a record that's 8 minutes, I think the crowd should enjoy the full potential of that record. Don't shortchange yourself, and you won't be shortchanged. If you're good to the game of house music, then the game of house music will be good to you.
Well, let me explain to you on this part.
Okay.
The word house music comes from the word warehouse.
Yeah.
That's where it comes from. House music started on the south side of Chicago.
Everybody has a different interpretation of house music. Sometimes most DJs think that they're playing house music, but they're not playing house music because they really didn't have an influence, and they really didn't have the knowledge or understanding. So a lot of these younger guys that are up and coming, they don't really have a true philosophy of actually where they got that from. So if you're playing like one of those disco loop tracks, that's something, when I used to play that record, you know what I mean? And you know, it's like you have a sample and now it's a filter in it, and you know, that's your definition of house music. That's fine, because it's an actual continuum of the actual original. We consider those as classics. So it's not really what you play, it's not really how you play it, it's what it does to you, what it does to your spirit, what it does to your soul. I mean, house music it's a very important, you know, particle of my life. I'm sure that Stax would say the same thing.
Everybody think they have an idea about what is going on between what we're doing. They don't have an idea, because it's deeper than what you think it is. It's not just like you putting on a record and you playing in front of these kids that's just dancing. It's not about that. It's a way of life. It's expression. It's culture.
The loft parties, the sound systems, people bringing the whistles and the tambourines, people having an opportunity to be able to have a hard work week and look forward to the weekend to get out and party. And in those days, we would average anywhere from 2,000 to 5,000 people, like per party. I mean, easy. because it would be something for everybody to look forward to. Like everybody would have their outfits out. It was more of a dressy thing. House was a serious thing here.
Right.
It was more of a dress attire, the way that you dressed. It was a dance style. We had dance groups, like different people coming dressing with makeup on their faces.
People had a form of character.
Different hairdos.
Yeah.
You know, the box haircuts.
And you always know somebody.
The baggy pants. Certain guys would come with plaid blazers on. And,
right, they were clean.
You know, I mean, it was dress. It was a fashion statement. It was a spiritual movement. Everybody had this passion. Everybody wanted to be unique. Everybody would do things that were different themselves. Everybody would be cliquish. They would start their own little clubs, their own groups, stuff like that. You know, so it was more unified than it ever, there could possibly be. Now, it's very segregated.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is there's so many different planes and levels of house that it's split into pieces. Back then, it was a family. Now, it's clicky. It's real cliquish. It's families. It's something that's a spiritual movement for us mentally. It's something that takes us away from the normal things that we have to deal with in life. So, just some of the venues here that was in Chicago that were the hot spots, like me, Ron Hardy, and Ferris used to do this place called the Hyde Park Athletic Club. The Bismarck Hotel, the Hummingbird was a real popular house spot on the south side. The Warehouse was a real popular spot, of course. If you look over this way, Gentle Persuasion was a south side spot. Sawyer's was like the outskirts of downtown. It was like one of the most hottest party places in Chicago. What I did was I used to throw like legend veteran parties where I would bring out like DJ Pierre and you know, Robert Owens and Farley. You know, I would bring a lot of pioneers out for those nights.
The thing is, if we accept it to the point to make it strong, it's up to the people who's making the music. And if they want it to be bigger than what it is, they gotta throw it out there.